All right. Hi, like several previous speakers, I'd like to first emphasize that I've received a very high quality education at FM. I'm incredibly grateful for everyone involved in that. However, I'd like to perhaps share some of my experience, although I'm not trivializing anyone else's in doing so. For several months, my junior year, I felt a complete and abject sense of upset. The days were a series of dull proceedings. I felt miserable, depressed, and absolutely alone. It wasn't all the time, but I was terrified because when I looked to the future, I couldn't see myself anywhere. And at times, I wasn't even sure if someone had come up to me and asked the question whether I'd be able to say that I really wanted to be alive. And I had no one I felt I could talk to. Additionally, I felt I had no right to complain because I live a relatively privileged life and my grades are pretty good. I remember being asked, how are things going? And after the person who asked saw my transcript, they said, they must be good. Do you know what it feels like to be told that your grades are directly equatable to your value? It really sucks. I think a lot of students at FM put themselves under a great amount of pressure to do well. And the first time I failed a test, I cried myself to sleep. And the second time I failed a test, well, it never happened again. I haven't been able to tell anyone about this except for a camp counselor who asked me how I was doing, perhaps the first time anyone ever asked me and cared to hear the response. And just in telling them how I felt, a great weight was lifted off my shoulder. This is the first time I think I've ever told anyone outside of my family and that counselor. I don't feel comfortable, but I feel it's perhaps necessary to come forward. And for as long as I felt alone my junior year, I didn't know that FM offered any resources. I talked to my counselor perhaps 7 times, every single time, another cursory check-in. Oh, your grades are good, well, we'll move on. And I don't blame my counselor. I think they're overwhelmed. This is not to say that the school owes it to their students to make a change. I don't know what those changes are. There's probably not just one. But I'm dead serious when I say that I had no idea FM offered a homeschool liaison. I didn't feel that anyone cared about me. And if you're looking for somewhere to start, publicizing those resources might be a good idea. Also, I'd emphasize that students are under a great amount of pressure. The hardest decision I ever made was to take a study hall my sophomore year. I think that should be required. This isn't an issue to solve one day, perhaps a constant, unceasing push. Thanks.